On a freezing January morning in 2025, semiconductor engineers across Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Beijing received identical encrypted messages. The sovereign silicon operation was now underway. Within hours, all ASML lithography machines present in China, with an astonishing value of $15 billion, would become expensive paperweights, their software frozen, their precision mechanisms blocked from Dutch headquarters. This was not a technical defect. It was the opening salvo in the boldest technological rebellion of the 21st century. For years, the universe of semiconductors functioned as a perfectly tuned orchestra. ASML in the Netherlands manufactured lithography machines capable of etching circuits tinier than viruses. TSMC in Taiwan converted silicon wafers into the throbbing hearts of smartphones, servers, and supercomputers. American companies designed the processor architectures that defined what was possible, and China assembled, produced, and scaled. Everyone played their function, and the melody resulted profitable. But on January 18, 2025, Beijing did not simply abandon the orchestra. They set fire to the concert hall. The announcement was clinical in its precision. An immediate and comprehensive ban of all purchases of ASML equipment and a complete breakdown of associations with TSMC, without negotiations, without a grace period, without looking back. But the chips had been falling for days. On January 15th, the Dutch government, under relentless U.S. pressure, reversed ASML export licenses for deep ultraviolet lithography systems destined for China. Then came the fatal blow, a suspension of all software updates, technical support, and spare parts for existing machines already operating in Chinese factories. TSMC followed the same path, announcing full compliance with U.S. export controls and ending all collaborations of advanced processes with Chinese partners. "This is economic warfare disguised as trade policy," said a senior executive at a major Chinese chip manufacturer to colleagues in a leaked recording. "They want us to believe that we will go back decades. They are about to discover how wrong they are." The numbers painted a severe picture. China had imported between $2.6 billion and $6 billion in ASML tools in 2023 alone. These were not simply machines. They were the keys to the kingdom, the only way to manufacture cutting-edge chips. Without them, conventional wisdom argued that China would stagnate at 28-nanometer technology while the West was racing toward 3 nanometers and beyond. But Beijing had been preparing for this moment since 2022, when the first U.S. sanctions pointed at Chinese access to extreme ultraviolet scanners. While Western analysts predicted a lost decade for Chinese semiconductors, something extraordinary was happening behind closed doors. State planners were not simply reacting, they were orchestrating. The scale of mobilization defied precedents. Between 2022 and 2024, China channeled more than $75 billion toward domestic development of semiconductors through a network of sovereign wealth funds, state banks, and strategic tax incentives. But the money was barely the beginning. More than 50,000 of China's brightest engineers were reassigned from companies like Huawei, SMIC, Unigroup, and SMEC toward classified research facilities. These weren't ordinary technicians. They were carefully selected specialists in lithography, process integration, and performance optimization. What we witnessed was nothing less than a Manhattan Project for semiconductors, noted Dr. Cheng Wei, a semiconductor analyst based in Singapore. While the planet was focused on sanctions, China was building a completely parallel universe of chip technology. The construction boom told its own story. In the Lingan district of Shanghai, satellite images revealed dozens of new manufacturing facilities emerging from the ground. Shenzhen morphed into a city of semiconductors virtually overnight. Chengdu Tianfu New Area became a beehive of advanced packaging research. Each site represented billions in investment and thousands of jobs. But more crucially, they embodied a new philosophy: total self-sufficiency at any price. In a high-security Shenzhen laboratory, Chinese scientists built what Washington had spent years trying to prevent: a prototype of a machine capable of producing cutting-edge semiconductor chips. Completed in early 2025 and now undergoing testing, the prototype fills nearly an entire factory floor. It was built by a team of former engineers from Dutch semiconductor giant ASML, who reverse-engineered the company's extreme ultraviolet lithography machines, according to sources with knowledge of the project. One veteran Chinese engineer from ASML recruited to the project was surprised to find that his generous signing bonus came with an identification card issued under a false name. Once inside, he recognized other former ASML colleagues who were also working under aliases and was instructed to use their fake names at work to maintain secrecy. The guidance was clear: classified under national security, no one outside the compound could know what they were building, or that they were there at all. The team included recently retired, Chinese-born former ASML engineers and scientists, prime recruitment targets because they possessed sensitive technical knowledge, but faced fewer professional constraints after leaving the company. China launched an aggressive drive in 2019 for semiconductor experts working abroad, offering signing bonuses that started at 3 million to 5 million yuan, $420,000 to $700,000, and home purchase subsidies. Recruits included Lin Nan, ASML's former head of lightsource technology, whose team at the Chinese Academy of Sciences Shanghai Institute of Optics filed 8 patents on EUV light sources in 18 months. Then came the shockwaves no one saw coming. In March 2025, a Shenzhen company previously unknown named Zacharier revealed something that should have been impossible: a domestic immersion lithography system capable of creating feature patterns below 7 nanometers. The demonstration was not just slides and promises. They showed wafer processing live, microscope images, electronic data on successful patterns and performance that made Western engineers question everything they thought they knew about the limits of lithography. Days later, Huawei dropped its own bombshell. The smartphone Mate 60 Pro was powered by a chip of 7 nanometers manufactured entirely with legacy DUV equipment and advanced multiple patterning techniques. No EUV, no ASML, no Western technology, just Chinese ingenuity taken to its absolute limits. The transformation did not stop at lithography. In underground facilities, teams of Chinese scientists were attacking the problem from angles the West had ruled out as impractical. Dr. Lewin, leading a team of 200 researchers at the Institute of Microelectronics, had spent 3 years perfecting what industry insiders called computational lithography on steroids. The Western approach is like using a scalpel, Lewin explained to his team. We are using 1,000 needles, each one guided by artificial intelligence to create more precise patterns than any individual tool could achieve. The results spoke louder than any propaganda. By June 2025, SMIC was producing 5-nanometer chips using entirely domestic equipment. Yield rates were lower than TSMC's cutting-edge processes, around 60% compared to 85% of TSMC. But for Beijing, that was acceptable. What mattered was capability, not perfection. China's EUV prototype was operational and successfully generating extreme ultraviolet light, but had not yet produced working chips. The government set a goal of producing working chips on the prototype by 2028, though those close to the project say a more realistic target is 2030, still years earlier than the decade analysts believed it would take China to match the West on chips. The human cost of this technological divorce was overwhelming. ASML service centers in China, once bustling with Dutch and Chinese engineers working side by side, remained empty. More than 3,000 highly trained technicians found themselves reassigned or unemployed. TSMC's collaborative research programs, which had trained thousands of Chinese engineers for 2 decades, faded away in just a moment. But for every Western technician who departed, 10 Chinese engineers took a step forward. Financial markets responded with characteristic volatility. ASML shares plummeted 31% in the 6 months following the January announcement in China. TSMC lost $180 billion in market capitalization while investors grappled with the loss of its largest growth market. Meanwhile, Chinese semiconductor stocks soared to all-time highs. By August 2025, the impossible had become routine. Chinese supercomputers built entirely with domestic chips claimed 3 of the top 10 positions on the global top 500 list. Huawei's 5G base stations, powered by indigenous processors, surpassed Western alternatives in energy efficiency. Electric vehicles running with automotive chips designed in China offered features that Tesla couldn't match. The moment Tim Cook got off the plane in Beijing in March, he knew Apple was facing its biggest challenge yet. The company that once revolutionized technology with a simple white earphone now found itself trapped in a web of dependencies valued at more than $500 billion. Apple had poured more money into China during the last decade than the United States spent rebuilding Europe after World War II. Not millions, not billions, but more than $500 billion. "We have been investing here for 30 years, declared Jeff Williams, Apple's chief operating officer, to Chinese suppliers. And let me be really clear, we're here to stay. I don't see that changing. We will continue investing in China, significantly." But behind this confident facade, Apple executives were navigating an increasingly hostile geopolitical landscape. More than 80% of the 200 main suppliers operate in China. Almost every component in an iPhone, from the smallest screw to the most sophisticated chip, passes through Chinese hands. January 18, 2025, marked the day when the semiconductor world split in two. China demonstrated that self-sufficiency was possible with sufficient resources and will, even at the cost of billions in lost relationships. Developing countries, particularly in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia, suddenly found themselves having to choose a side in a technological war they never asked for. Those who chose Chinese technology gained access to more affordable equipment and generous funding terms. Those who remained loyal to Western suppliers maintained compatibility with established systems, but faced significantly higher costs and more restrictive conditions. European semiconductor giants such as Infineon and ST Microelectronics found themselves in a particularly painful strategic limbo. For decades, they had cultivated profitable relationships with both American and Chinese partners, positioning themselves as neutral bridges in the global ecosystem. Now, that intermediate position had become unsustainable. Some analysts estimated that the European semiconductor industry could contract by up to 20% if technological decoupling went deeper. Chinese universities like Tsinghua, Beijing University, and the University of Science and Technology of China doubled their postgraduate programs in integrated circuit design and semiconductor physics. The Chinese government established 100 new research laboratories dedicated exclusively to chip manufacturing technologies, each equipped with budgets that rivaled those of entire Western institutions. Meanwhile, exchange programs that had historically led brilliant Chinese students to MIT, Stanford, and Berkeley for doctoral studies in electrical engineering practically evaporated overnight. The AI arms race added another critical dimension to this battle of semiconductors. Artificial intelligence chips require specialized architectures completely different from traditional processors, with emphasis on massive parallel matrix operations and high-bandwidth data handling. Beijing recognized that mastering AI chip design and manufacturing was not simply a matter of national pride or economic advantage, but of strategic survival in a world where AI supremacy could determine the balance of military and economic power for the rest of the century. Emerging Chinese AI companies like SenseTime, Baidu, and Horizon Robotics received unprecedented capital injections to develop their own customized AI accelerators. By the end of 2025, several of these Chinese AI chips had equaled or surpassed NVIDIA's performance offerings in specific tests, though they remained lagging in overall energy efficiency and software ecosystem. Pentagon generals began warning that China's growing self-sufficiency in semiconductors represented an existential threat to American military superiority. Virtually all modern weapon systems, from drones to precision-guided missiles, encrypted communication systems, and surveillance satellites, depend on advanced semiconductors. If China could produce military-grade chips independently, the argument went, then technological sanctions were losing their power as a deterrent tool. The environmental impact of this duplication of massive semiconductor infrastructure received surprisingly little attention amid the geopolitical drama. Semiconductor manufacturing is among the most resource-intensive industrial processes on the planet, requiring extraordinary quantities of ultra-pure water, electricity, and hazardous chemicals. Each processed silicon wafer generates toxic waste that must be carefully handled and neutralized. By building essentially two complete semiconductor manufacturing ecosystems in parallel, one Western and one Chinese, humanity was doubling its environmental footprint of an already intensely polluting industry. Unconfirmed reports from Chinese inland provinces suggested that some hastily built manufacturing facilities were discharging chemical wastewater into local rivers without adequate treatment, creating potential public health crises that remained hidden beneath the cover of national security secrecy. The software dimension of this technological division proved as significant as the hardware challenges. China had invested aggressively in developing alternatives to Western electronic design automation tools from companies like Cadence, Synopsys, and Mentor Graphics. These software programs, collectively known as EDA tools, are essential for designing modern integrated circuits. Without them, even having access to manufacturing equipment would prove useless, because engineers couldn't create the complex chip designs that drive contemporary devices. Chinese EDA tools developed by companies like Empyrean Technology and Primarius Technologies were initially viewed with skepticism by the international semiconductor design community. However, by mid-2025, these tools had matured surprisingly fast, powered by intensive feedback from thousands of design engineers working on real chip projects. Though they still lacked some advanced features of their established Western counterparts, they had achieved functional parity for most practical applications. The aim is for China to eventually be able to make advanced chips on machines that are entirely China-made. One source close to the project said, China wants the United States 100% kicked out of its supply chains. We witnessed the birth of two completely separate technological universes, each with their own norms, standards, and development philosophies. This fracture did not represent a trade dispute or temporary adjustment in supply chains. It was a permanent division whose implications will be felt for generations. The technological Cold War transformed the educational landscape, restructured global supply chains, accelerated environmental damage, and forced every nation to choose allegiance in a binary world. What happens when China's 2030 EUV target is reached? Will the quality of domestic chips match the quantity being produced? Can the world afford two parallel technological universes? Or will this division reshape global power dynamics in ways we cannot yet imagine? If this technological rebellion showed us anything, it's that underestimating determination backed by unlimited resources proves costly. Subscribe to stay ahead of the technological transformations reshaping our world.